Okay, so let's get into that. So we're going to be bringing on at least a minimum of 11 interns. Again, Denver Public Schools has an intern program for the summer. A lot of the interns were not placed because uh, businesses due to COVID had to kind of shut down and pivot and change. And so a lot of people were displaced and not able to get their internships. It's a paid internship. When I heard about it, I really wanted to invest my own money into it, because that's always been a vision of mine, is what if we could literally pay students to be working in business in school? What would that look like? They'd be moving forward businesses, and again, like putting my money where my mouth is, but also acknowledging the fact that there's this really powerful yet hidden resource I feel in underprivileged communities, where there's all these students who bring so much to the table who aren't being utilized, and the learning experience they get from that, but also just from a company perspective, they can really move forward business. And so with me doing that, it really opened it up to me paying for 6 interns, which I think they get paid $1,100 for the summer, for 100 hours. So it turns out to only be like $11 an hour, which is not a lot. But when you're paying for it, it is a lot. And what they'll easily bring that value, I feel. And so me committing to do that, then DPS, and I said, but I've got so many other students that I want to work with from my school right now, Northeast Early College in Montbello in Denver. And with that, they said, well, we've got a lot more interns from different areas in Denver. And I said, I would literally take them all. Like, I want them all. And so originally I thought just young women. And now I think everyone can move us forward. Our mission's not going to change, but the more people behind us changing and pushing us even more forward, the better. And so tomorrow, at 9 o'clock, I'm having my first meeting with kind of the intern group. And I don't think it will be all of them, but a lot of them. They've had to do coursework, they've had to do training to kind of be part of this program, so there's a commitment on their side too. And I've been text messaging and kind of following up with them. But I still don't have a clear picture for what this intern experience looks like. Before I tell you kind of what I think it can look like, and I'll get my notes on that, what do you think? So this is for a whole summer. This can be for both Mama Bird interviews, which again is our really initial revenue stream of where we can make you guys money. So it can be for that, but it can also be for Mama Bird Media, which is this educational side. We've really introduced to even another component now, which I think is a component of Mama Bird Media, but this Mama Bird grad school, where it'd be a local, really, I guess, small starting kind of weekly class, that we have students actively come to virtually. And initially I thought that would be on ground. In the future, it could be on ground. But what could this, knowing that these students are high schoolers, knowing that they've often been never empowered in a way like we could, knowing that there could be a lot of them, and so up to, like she said one time, 40 to 60 people, and so that's a different experience than 11. I'm close already with the 11 that I'm already teaching, and connecting with. But if it could be up to 50 or 60 people, how, and knowing that their timing is different, right? We're all in different schedules. We can't expect to all be meeting at one time. So that could be a part of it, but not everything. More than like what they're actually doing initially, what do you think that the company needs at this point to really move forward and grow you've talked about this, Janine, kind of a beautiful and organic way. But how can we value these students, have them learn different things and skills, which they will be learning through doing things for the company? What do you guys, what are the first things that come to mind of how we can utilize and empower and maximize the value that they get from this experience and also they bring to our company's experience?
Maybe they can be kind of at the forefront of figuring out what, like, our social media accounts. Somebody could be designated to Twitter's, then somebody else could be for Instagram, or maybe it would just be one person who is taking care of the social media and posting, who knows how to capture their audience with a post. Um, Somebody, and not just for like Mama Bird interviews, but also for the educational standpoint as well. How, like, they are our audience, so they know how, like, what their peers like. I'm kind of a little old, so I don't really know how to reach to, like, for example, my people who are my brother's age, because that's how old the interns will be, and I know that they're probably a little bit more more enriched in the social media side of things than myself or I think any of us. So I think that would be a really good way for us to utilize their time as well. And I don't think that they would find that boring, or maybe they would. But also YouTube, when to post, maybe editing, our videos. Well, some because I know when it was just me, Proctor, and Yusura, we had like a good 40-minute chunk where we were just like kind of talking a little bit here and there, but mostly just silence. And then maybe we could have one of the interns like watching our videos, maybe bringing things to the forefront, like, hey, did you realize you said the F word like 4 times? Should we keep that? Should we cut that? Because being that we are going to be on YouTube, I don't think I think there's like certain rules or something that I wasn't aware of before, but David brought that to my attention. He's like YouTube whiz. He loves YouTube. He's always on YouTube. But I know that our interns will be somebody is on YouTube and knows just as much or more about YouTube than my husband. So we should definitely utilize their knowledge on that.
I agree. And I also think that we could probably have someone like kind of organizing all of the like ideas that we've put together, because I know that with everything happening, we haven't been able to like sit down and really like organize like the plan and everything that we're trying to have. So just having someone like look through those documents and like start kind of establishing like what the plan actually should look like.
Possibly a scheduler as well. Because if we're all having like 5 interviews, people will start reaching out to us. And I'm not sure who will delegate that. Maybe our interns can, like tell me like, hey, somebody wants to be interviewed by you on, say, for example, next week. Do you have any free space next week? How can we work that out? Like, well, a scheduler.
Yeah, like along those lines, having someone that like an outreach person, like that one person that reaches out to people to make it kind of uniform.
Maybe like when we get, because I feel like we're growing really fast and steadily. So once we get to the point where like we do have like 5 interviews a week, and our time we look at our time differently. Maybe assistants, um, not somebody who like stays with, just kind of like with somebody who, I don't know, an assistant to all of us, maybe.
Yeah, that's like available to like do anything that they need to at the time, kind of. Is that what you mean? Like someone that's like ready to do it, like any type of task?
Yeah, I guess. I was re-listening. Is that even a word? I was listening to one of Angela Davis's podcasts again, where she brings on her assistant, and her assistant is the one who kind of deals with like the posting and the social media side of things, and kind of letting her know like, hey, this person needs you at this time. So I guess that all ties into what we've been talking about already.
Yeah, I think you guys are coming up with great ideas. I think that one way to, and one thing that I'm going to have a tricky part with is I want to value our interns and what they bring to the table and empower them like you guys have been empowered. But the concept of being an intern is still, there may be still smaller tasks than you guys are currently dealing with. And I think that we can find and really ask them what they want their experience to look like. So for example, some of the interns that I've chosen for this and kind of really forced upon them, because I want them to be a part of this, and I see their skill set being something that can really help us grow, and I see it being a opportunity for them, a really big opportunity for them, um, is kind of what that looks like for them. So some of them, for example, one young woman that I'm talking to works a full-time job at a restaurant, basically, and is also doing another internship somewhere else. And so I don't want to lose this young person, and I don't want them to lose the opportunity to get paid for this, and they can still work in their time. And so it may be a smaller hour commitment from them or different times, and maybe it looks like for them that they literally are just consuming our content and giving us feedback on it, and giving us their ideas about what they want to learn. And then we empower them to say, okay, so you want to learn about this and this. Can you do a report on that for us and share that out with the group in some way? Or find people that are experts in this field and start reaching out to them, like Angela Davis, who I need to follow up with from my end, because I still want you to interview her so badly. And this is, like the 5th time you talked about her on this, and I want to send her that information too. And we're going to get her. But I think that, so that's one option, right? Is that that's what they really are going to value, and valuing their time, and they can always grow for that. Good morning, Fia. And then the other option would be, there's some students who, and I can think of one that's a freshman right now that's going into her sophomore year, that may have more time. And this may be, again, kind of like us, the summer of Mama Bird, and that they are going to be able to pour in their all and be doing a ton of work. And so how does that look like empowering them? Is that may look like supporting one of you directly, kind of getting a mentorship role out of that, like I've had with you, and kind of then you're delegating to them, which is a great experience for you because your time is so valuable. And then once you delegate, it'll be like me, where you'll see just the fruits of that, that you can now be doing something else and this other thing's still getting done, that you can be recording your interviews, and then there's an assistant of some kind who has the capability to go through that interview and cut up parts to then, that's one of the things that I want to do really with Mama Bird interviews, is that you're expected to interview the people. Then right after that, you go through, and this would be something you'd need support with, Janine, realistically, and that you don't need to learn by yourself, but the rest of the team has the capabilities. You would go through and edit that video, like I did with Veronica's, to say, these are the chunks that I think should be on social media. These are the chunks that I think could really push forward and move society forward. Can we share these? And then maybe that's their job too, to then reach back out to the person that you interviewed and have another great conversation with them, and be able to, and this is something you could teach them on and train them on and grow with, but maybe they ask that, and then they follow up with the person, say, I'm going to send over these forms. We just need your digital signature on them to make sure it's okay for us to share this on social media. And then they follow up with that part. It could also be a customer service component, which is what a great skill to have, where you are following up with all of our clients and saying, how was your experience with Mama Bird? What would you like to improve? Was the interviewer professional? Was the interviewer courteous? Was it a good experience? Would you recommend this to your friends? Do you have any friends that we should reach out to? And so, like, just we can have a more in-depth, more enriching experience with Mama Bird, that we need to develop, and they can be part of developing this if they're interested in that. So maybe we can kind of find what they're excited about, and then really empower them to help grow what that looks like for the company, and then that can be a way to empower them. Other things that I've written down is, I just thought I copied and pasted this, but I didn't. Okay. So that they will be, if they're able to be involved with team meetings, so I don't want every one of our interns to be joining these meetings, for example, but I want them to consume them on some way outside of this time. And so that could be something where they're literally paid to watch our YouTube channel, which helps us with views. It helps us with buy-in, and it helps them get to know you and what we're doing. One thing that I wanted to ask you guys to be a part of, if possible, and I need to talk to Shannon, is this woman I work with that kind of deals with our internships, who's amazing. A white woman, but a strong white advocate. She's well connected in the Black business community, and really, really just her heart's in the right place. And so she really cares about her students. So she's organizing all this for us. And so tomorrow at 9, I'm meeting with the interns, and I would like you guys to, if you're able to join us, to be at the start of that, to kind of just introduce yourself to the team, let them know about what we're doing and how it's affected you, just to have a really awesome launch with these young people. Because I think that we will get buy-in from them, and I think that it will We'll be able to put them in situations where we do empower them. One thing I do feel guilty about, and that was like this with you guys, and I'm not that concerned about it, but typically they want these things from a school standpoint very structured. Like, you're going to be doing this every day. You're going to be doing this every day. You're going to be doing this. And this isn't like that. And I think because there's ambiguity, they're going to grow so much more because of it. But I think that having the buy-in from them and then saying, like, what does this look like in the best for you? What do you want to learn? Where do you want to go? A lot of these students may have thought they're going to be doing an internship in whatever, let's say the medical field, which is something way outside of this. So then how can we, hey, yeah, medicine, we need medicine. We need strong young women of color in medicine. And so what does that look like? And I've talked to some of my former students about this, is you could be using this to, again, move yourself forward in your career. So we want to share, talk about a field that, or something that would be great for everyone to learn about. What do medical professions look like? What do they pay? This could be something where this person's coming up with content for us and making connections for us, that empowers them too, that really can move us forward. So I think there can be that kind of flexibility too with it. Let me read the other parts of this. So social media, I think, is a huge one. And I think there will be certain interns that really gravitate towards that. And I think we create a team. And I think then that team becomes like us, and they're meeting regularly and they're talking about this and they're working together as a team. I think that can be a really powerful thing. I think social media, we should be taking parts from what we're talking about here and posting that daily on social media. I think we need to get on Instagram. I think we need to get, I don't know, a TikTok, how that works, but if we need to get on TikTok to get people watching us, then we need to do that. And there's a lot of wisdom that you guys are sharing every meeting that could be cut up in smaller formats and then share with people. And I think social media team can be doing that. And what an experience to be able to run social media. Again, there's not really, to me, much downside to letting them kind of run with it. They're going to learn along the way, but I think that people that are interested in that can really do that for this company, and it'll be a really empowering experience. I think that students can also, like your husband, Janine, I would love to hear from students who do consume YouTube, what they do consume. This was a project that a lot of my students worked on. They can just do it for this company. Who are they watching? Why are they watching them? I watch this person who does makeup tutorials, not because I actually do the makeup, but I just like their personality. I like this, I like that. This is how I found them. So really doing primary research on themselves. And so we're literally paying them to reflect on how they consume, how they can find others like them to consume. Our media channel, what we can do to tie in, who we should be reaching out to try to connect to promote our brand that has like-minded principles or a like-minded demographic. And so I think that could be a big part of it. And that could be done at 2:00 in the morning. That could be done at, 3 in the afternoon. That can be done whenever. And so that the timeliness isn't the issue, and that it doesn't feel like work to me. I don't think this will feel like work in a lot of ways if we empower, like it doesn't to me right now. And so I think that can be an amazing part of it too. And then it'll learn how to have them be proactive and how to be independent learners in so many ways. And so that's a huge part of that too. And think about social media strategy as far as YouTube growth, how we do that. If we advertise, what that looks like. Somebody could, if they're interested, learn about what you have a little bit, Janine, already. But let's say you're working on how to do YouTube advertising, and that's something you want to invest your time in. Maybe someone supports you in that, or a team supports you in that, and you're working with them in that, and then they get more interaction. I think that it could be like you guys are, like celebrities to these students in a lot of ways. And so like working with you can be a really cool carrot to motivate them even more and empower them even more. And you can do the same thing we've done with each other, is really lift people up in a really positive way. And again, maximize your time with the team. So then another thing I wanted to do is like really have them analyze their own learning styles. And so meaning that some people learn, I just talked to, again, the guy that I want to be kind of my coach and mentor, that he says he reads voraciously and he consumes books, and that's the way he learns. And he will read, like he wakes up in the morning springing out of bed wanting to read. And I think that but he said that his employees don't have that same. So he started a book club at his work, was paying people to be part of this book club. We're going to study these business books. We're going to talk about them together. It's going to bring us all forward. And they did it, but it wasn't like their passion. And then he had them learn about sales, and he had them read a sales book. And then one of his employees came to him and was like, listen, I think it's great you're doing this, but I just watched this sales video on YouTube and I really did what it said and I made the sale. And so that people consume information differently, and what that looks like and how that looks, so that we can support them in that capacity. Because I think we're not utilizing your writing skills either, right? And so that's another thing that interns could do too, is they could write about what we're talking about. There's a blog on the website, that option. I think that could be a way to gain traction too. And I bet you we're going to have interns that are amazing writers and that want to do that. And that could be something that you guys could do too, if that's something that you want to work on. And I think it would be that you can kind of start this. Go ahead.
That kind of reminded me of something I did for an internship I had, where every week we had to do like a blog of like, we had to answer a question, and then like we had to like create a portfolio on a blog. So I think having them do that for something they can use in the future as well would be helpful, like making them all create a portfolio.
Yes, and documenting their growth, documenting what they've done so they can use that for future interviews. That's a great idea. And that's something that I didn't think about, is your guys' internships. I did internships 100 years ago, but yeah, what did you do and what did that impact you? And in a blog, I think would be great, and kind of this digital portfolio of the work you're working on, so that they can literally sell themselves again to jobs. Like, listen, if you run social media for us and we're successful, then hopefully we can find ways to keep you on and pay you. But if not, you're going to be desired. Like, there's companies that need social media help now, and you could get paid while you're still in high school to be doing this professionally and really starting your own consulting company, your own company. I think that's a great idea, so that they can really see that we value their work too, and we value them, and try to help bring them up too. That's a great idea. And that they literally be getting paid for that is awesome. So are there any other things that you can think of with the internships that you did that we should be implementing that really were effective? And it could be boring stuff too.
Um, a lot of the time they just had me like attend their meetings. I mean, I know for the first like ones that I had, they didn't really have a lot for me to do. It was just like they randomly had me search flights and stuff and like meet with people. But for another one I had, they had me like record their shows and handle like, because it was at a poetry place, and so they had me like handle the donations at the front desk and go to their meetings, and they had me once like perform. So I think also like letting them watch us like do interviews, and then maybe like allowing them to do practice ones if they like feel comfortable, like allowing them to do practice interviews as well.
Well, I think that's a great idea. And I think that one expectation should be that helped us bond, and we could figure out a way to do it, is interviewing each other, um, and switching, right? And so that could be something where we're providing this service. They see the value that we provide, they go through the process, they create a time capsule for themselves, and that can help our company really become closer. And I guess we'll figure out when we see the numbers, it can really figure out what this experience is going to look like, because it could be with small enough numbers where we're each interacting and interviewing each other. We have group meetings. If it's a huge, huge, huge amount of numbers, then we have these kind of smaller groups. We can do big things where they're all watching this kind of shared experience of what we put out on YouTube. And the podcast needs to start too. But that can be something where they grow from that. And I think that too, that's part of it, is like, expect that you will be doing some work that you're not passionate about, expect that you're going to be doing some busy work at some point, but know that we do value, and this is moving us all forward, and that you will have chances to shine when they open up.
What do you guys think of having a podcast for the interns? Like, the interns are talking on a podcast, documenting what they're going through, what their thoughts are. Maybe not a podcast, but maybe like a YouTube. Like, you know how, well, we have Mom Bird Media / interviews for our YouTube channel, and we have different segments, like, for example, our morning meetings. Then underneath that, like, the intern, like how our interns are like going about their day and like their thoughts and stuff. Maybe somebody could be in charge of kind of editing and like putting those together. And then underneath that, the educational side of it, where we interview educators. I don't know. What do you guys think of that?
I think that's a good idea. Like, instead of having like, they could still do like a written blog, or they can do like the video portion, like every day, like answer that question, do a quick video, and then maybe creating like a playlist on the Mama Bird Media YouTube page out of just the interns doing that, and then they can also add that to their portfolios.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think if you document, you can use it in the future however you want to. And so I
Mhm.
think that that's something that over documenting would be.
And maybe we also have like questions of the day or questions of the week that we all answer, um, to, I don't know, kind of help organize it a little bit better. What are you eating?
I've
Yeah.
thought about that too, which I think is a great idea and something that we can help with these young people is start documenting your life in a different way than you do currently, meaning that almost like a visual diary, and we can help support in what that would look like and what is needed for that, even if it's just an audio diary. But that and they can run that too on social media, and it would be what a good thing, like if they're coming up with this content of what that question of the day is and we can provide input, but that if it's just provided and like we start our meeting with this is the question of the day and this is what we answer, and then we model that, and then they put our answers on social media and throughout the day, and that they put their answers, good answers, on social media throughout the day. I think that's an awesome idea and would provide huge value. Again, knowing that we are going to be speaking to younger students that we aren't, right? So these are the students that we really are target market. And I love this because that could really empower them to come up with new ideas and how to push that forward too and move the company.
What kind of gave me the idea of it was on NCAS News, like the word of the week. Um, I was watching a few of those, and like I look back, and well, it's just interesting, like how much we've all grown, from 2015 to 2000, well, to where we are now, like the classes that have graduated. It's interesting, pretty cool. And so like that, yeah, with this, it'll be cool to look back for even our interns for us, and um, to kind of see like, oh wow, yeah, I remember that. Like, wow, I've grown so much. Like it's just like I said, a win, 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 endlessly. Ma'am, it's okay.
Yeah, I look back and watch those, and they're so nostalgic, and all the amazing stuff that our school is far from perfect, but all the amazing stuff that did go on in our school. And Yasura's speech has driven that home too, like just the relationships she's made and all the wonderful times at our school, even in this imperfect world. And there is so many students out there around the world that have a very similar lived experience to you guys in high school and are currently living it that way too. That I think that like Proctor with your graduation video, that your stories matter and that you want to share that, is that's our whole thing, that we can get people to talk about these things and have others know that it's okay to feel this way, and then be supporting them to bring them up and watching their maturation and growth throughout this time, which can be great for our company, but also great for the individuals. And so this conversation with you guys is really making me think that I've been short-sighted even with what I was thinking about. And I think just valuing the people, finding ways to hold them accountable, which I think can come with a kind of a group structure like this. I think we can have leaders within the interns if people want those roles. And so we can really value what they are doing with that. Let me bounce some more ideas off you guys because this is amazing. Okay. So helping us grow our channel, providing feedback on what they like to learn about and value, what they're not learning about in school, or what they haven't learned in school. So that would be kind of the both the Lombard media side, the educational side, and realistically the grad school side. But again, I think grad school too. So let's put it in that way. Mama Bird interviews target market is the people like me, people who have money, people who want to support young women of color, often white people that want to support young women of color, and that we're going to again have them see this vision, and they're going to buy this product that will be something that's really powerful for them. But initially, they're going to buy it for you guys to support you. So that's our target market for Mama Bird interviews. Mama Bird Media's target market is really young women of color. So so recent graduates all the way down to high schoolers, and theoretically even younger. And so that's Mama Bird Media's target market. And then this Mama Bird Grad School's target market is literally former students of NCAS, basically. So people who've graduated in the last 5 years who are out in the world, young women of color that have graduated and out in the world. That's our target market for that Mama Bird grad school. And so I think that helps with what that is. And then the interns can help support those goals too. And now we're getting so much more clarity on our vision, that's going to be really valuable to them too. Teamwork and team building exercises I put on there, and I think that looks in this case like just real work. Like I think we can try to facilitate stuff and do kind of icebreakers and things like that in some way, but I think that team building will come from if we really have this positive energy that we're all moving forward together and utilizing each other's skill sets and supporting each other like we do as a team here, that the team building will come naturally. Um, One thing that I want to talk to you guys about and get your opinion is these students know nothing about us. Often the students that would be outside of our school, even the students that are inside of our school, they don't know that much about this concept. What happens if interns are not on board or affecting the company in kind of a negative way? What are your thoughts on if that would be, I don't foresee this being a huge problem, but if some students is just not into it, if they're just looking at this as a job and they're not getting out of it what they want, what are your thoughts on how to handle situations like that that would be more negative and such a positive thing so that it doesn't bring us down?
I think the best thing would be to talk to them, Sophia, about like how we can better support them and kind of ask if they need any clarity, kind of see like what's going on um, with their interpersonal lives to see like maybe something's happening to affect their work ethic or how they're doing emotionally, um, I think it's important that we drive home the fact that we care, you know um, yeah, just like asking them like, hey, how can we support you, what's the best, like we've noticed like this is happening with your work and we notice you kind of haven't been yourself lately, like what's going on, like how can we support you, I think that's the best way, like to just drive home like the fact that we are in their eyes like leaders, and we are here to support them and uplift them and uplift each other. And if something were happening with me, I'd hope that somebody would be like, hey, how can we better support you, what's going on, and not use that like against them in any way, just kind of like, okay, well, let's see how we can move forward, what does the future look like for us all,
I agree, and also letting them know like up front, like what our expectations are, and like what this company like really means to us and stands for, just so that they kind of know up front.
I really like what you both said, that just, yeah, there are clear expectations. And one of those expectations is that we're all valuable and valued as humans and respected. And that's the way we want to handle things. That we think they have something to bring to the table, that we will find a way to value what they have to bring to the table. And we're learning, it's a learning experience too. So give us patience and grace with that. But do bring your best version of yourself, that you can bring at the moments that you are involved, and know that you will be valued. And this is a really unique opportunity for them too, at such an early stage like this, that they can have real impact on growth for us and do it for the good of young women of color and the good of this company, but also know that there's going to be a lot of good that's going to come for you too. Okay, and I think we can start setting that expectation tomorrow at this meeting. Another thing I think could be interesting and neat is reach out to influencers to try to get them work with us. Analyze how marketing and public relations work. Like I think that they can be paid to learn new things, and if that is someone who really wants to know and be in public relations, they can find someone to interview about public relations. They can do their own studying on public relations and then bring that to the table, and we can work on those things through the company so they can use real world practice on it. And so I think that we still need a consistent message moving forward. We need to make sure that we are doing things initially consistent with what we need for the company, but then once people prove that they can do it, like you guys have, for example, that they can run with it and they can be empowered that way too, and theoretically even create teams and delegate that kind of information too. I think there'll be kind of a leadership that will emerge in really positive ways. And we need to find ways to foster that and make sure it's not in any negative ways, make sure that there's not any resentment. When successes happen, that we're celebrating people and lifting everybody up, and there's not jealousy in that, because we are all in it for the right reasons.
I think that would be a great talk. Like Yusura, she really drove home that fact. Like when her friends like were making the successes, like she realized like yeah, like there's opportunity everywhere, you know. Like we need to be happy for them. We need to be joyful and like celebrate with them their successes and understand that we all need to have a mindset of abundance, so in the sense of like there's endless opportunities and everybody will shine where they are meant to, you know. And so I think in high school it's very, I mean, I'm basing this off of my own experiences. I realized, well, I was very competitive in high school, and would kind of, I didn't really learn at an early age to like be happy for other people's success, I guess. Like I felt like that was taking away from mine. Because I really feel like society kind of tells young women like you need, like it's a competitive world. You need to have this competitive state of mind, like where it's like all or nothing. And I've really shifted gears in a sense like no, that's not how it is. We need to uplift each other, and by supporting one another, it's good all around, you know. You get that back tenfold. You know, you get back what you put out. And I think it's important that we like really drive that home, you know, along with our expectations. Like we expect you guys to support each other and be happy for each other when success comes. And you know, I feel I'm rambling a little bit.
Parker, you have anything to add to that as far as creating a, which we have with each other, but creating a really, what's the word, like core values of this company, that is something that needs to be expected, that you're excited, and it's easy to say too, though that's a part of it too. It's easy to say that I want to be happy for other people, but that we really have that expectation that you'll be working on yourself to do that. That could be part of how Mama Bird Media ties into it too, with therapy and things like that, reflecting on when you're in high school why you do feel these ways, personal reflection on other times that other people have been successful and how did I handle that or think about that. And that could be something too that they can reflect on and do these kind of personal insights too that can really help them grow. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree that it should be about uplifting each other and not like making it a competition. And I think that kind of ties into like unlearning what like we might have been taught to make everything like, you know, like we have to race to the top and like everything's like individualistic because we are a company and like we have to work together. And so yeah, they just kind of like trying to relearn, I guess, that, because a lot of what we do understand about how to be successful is like been ingrained in us from society.
And that Mama Bird brings us all up. I think that's an important thing to mention too. Like if we're successful and you're now interning at a very successful company, that I think literally over the course of the summer, we're going to get a lot of press attention on, this is going to open doors for all of us. And if you're widely revered by your peers and you've got people vouching for you that you've done a great job and that you're always supportive, there will be different opportunities away from Mama Bird for you. As we grow, the more opportunities there will be inside Mama Bird, which again, like that's also the urgency that I feel that we need to do this now, because of every time I watch your video, Proctor, which I've watched a lot, which I think is amazing and the world should watch, I watch Lexi Gaines and I watch Olivia Reynolds, and I think, man, how can we help them in their lives? And how can we help lift them up? And so those would be two people that would be, you know, perfect for this grad school, right? Two that we can't bring in and pay yet because we don't have enough business, but we can move their life forward in some way like this. Or, you know, me sending out messages to Jessie J because I want her to listen to Lexi's performance singing her song, and I want them to watch that and have her share that, which I haven't got in touch with her yet. I reached out to whatever looked like her agent online, but that we can get to that point. And so once the doors are open, we're, even with 60 interns, we'd still be a small company proportionally. That's not a lot of people in the grand scheme of things. We can still have individuals and personalities there. And so there will be such a swell of positivity if it's in the right place. And then if it's not in the right place, then what a great journey to go on too, is reflecting on why it's not in the right place, and having that be, again, the new normal in this world should be thinking about how yourself, what the reason you aren't happy for other people. I loved, and I think it came from your guys' conversation on race, which I literally believe the world should watch, and I want our interns to watch. There's so many videos I want our interns to watch that we've already recorded, like this one, they need to watch. So hi interns, we love you guys. We're looking forward to meeting you more, and seeing what you can add to this amazing team. And I know you can add a lot. And so one of the things that Yusura said was, and she did put this in her valedictorian speech too, is like, we've been taught to win the race, and especially in America, such an individualistic society, and there's good that's come of that, but collectively that we're seeing a lot of bad that's come with that. And so, and especially I think women are different in this aspect too, and can be so much more open to everyone winning the race. And so that's what thing Yusura said, is like, that this world has favorites, makes her angry. And so many people, especially marginalized communities, and young women of color, and so many of our interns will have been pushed down by society in so many ways that they feel like they have to have this grit and fight for everything that they have, against everybody else, and it's them or somebody else. And that's one thing, like I told them, give me all the interns, because I think we can bring everybody up. And I think it's an opportunity, as long as there is money, which there is obviously in this world, because these interns are going to get paid, and only a small percentage by me, and us, and that they can all thrive, and we can find ways for all of them to thrive. And experiences are going to be different, but I think that it can be good for everyone, and we can bring everybody else up. And with the urgency that we need to be getting traction with Mama Bird interviews, and getting people to pay us, and building our team with that, getting traction with Mama Bird Media, and building that, I think that Mama Bird Grad School can be a big part of that too, pushing society forward. I think these are all things that really can show this kind of positivity. And then that'll proliferate into the world. Their next internship that they do, or their next job, is probably not going to look like this. So that's the one thing that's troubling to me, is we've kind of got this utopia thing going on here now, because we're the early part of this, and everything's exciting and it's really pure. When they go into the real business world, that's one of my fears, is it's going to be so different. But I think that fear will be overridden by them having this sense of knowing that it can look this way. If it doesn't look this way in the company they are, try to make changes to help incorporate things like that. Can they bring a help or really push for mental health between their other employees, and come up with systems where companies have big, deep pockets, that they can have a counseling program, or have this network of support, or things that they experience here? Can they interview or interject reflection into their process in a way that's similar to what we're going to be doing here? So I think there can be so much positives of that they go out into the world and bring to the world. So they are striving for a better world for everyone, not just themselves, not just individualistic. So I see that as being a really positive thing. Okay, I think that,
this ties in, sorry. I think this ties in perfectly with well, sort of feminism. And I have about 20 ideas of people who we could bring on to talk about this, about being a feminist and what that means, and how by one of us winning, we all win, and I mean, we will also have men who are a part of our team of interns, and I think that's even more powerful. I mean, not more powerful, but it's also very powerful to have men understand the value, and not just value, but kind of I'll get back to that, but kind of the value of knowing what becoming a feminist, and understanding what that means, what power that holds. And I think that's we're helping to kind of raise people up to become leaders. Like you said, there's going to be leadership that blooms through this process, and I'm already seeing that in myself. I'm seeing it in Proctor, and I'm seeing it in you, Sarah. Proctor, do you prefer me calling you Proctor or Ariana? I
Either
haven't asked
way.
before. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Proctor sounds so cool. um, but yeah, so that's my tangent.
I'd like to add on to that point too, and I think I've said it before. One of the exciting things about men being part of this to me is that men would be coming into a company that's focusing on young women of color, and men seeing female leaders and strong female leaders and vulnerable female leaders and starting to get used to that young, to me, is a powerful statement too, because we really need to recondition ourselves in society, the way we look at women, the way we look at women of color, and being around you guys and this team, and it's going to be definitely going to be a smaller percentage of men than it'll be women, I'm sure, and not falling in line, but like we would expect that in so many ways from women, right? That they look up to male leadership and they don't question male leadership in so many ways, and not question like they're not questioning what their leadership, what they're doing, but questioning like that that's expected. And so if we can start getting a society where young men are used to being led by women and see that as a wonderful thing, young, I think that can be a really powerful part of this too. Because at one point I'm like, only women, 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 women. But when this opportunity came up with these men should not be excluded from this, and our core values are not going to change, and our focus is not going to change, and they need to get on board with that. And they also can learn how that's going to empower them in the world, and a better world for them and their kids. And if they're in relationships later with women, that they would value that in the women they're in relationships with. There's so much that you guys can teach young men. And that's another thing that I think we need to do with this grad school, right? And Mama Bird is relationships. What do healthy relationships look like? Who's an expert on that? Talking about consent and what that looks like. I think there could be so much that can be shared. I don't know that this comes into like disclaimer territory that we're going to need to figure out legally what we're saying, but having an expert on relationships and what that looks like, we never see. And so our young women in high school in abusive, whether they're emotionally, mentally, physically abusive relationships, what they need to be looking for in that situation, what they should be striving for in relationships, and value what healthy relationships look like. That's something that's never taught in school. I feel that's really needed, because the relationship part of high school is such a huge thing, and I see my students just aren't able to get an education in so many ways because of the relationships they're dealing with, and also friendships too. What does a healthy friendship look like between women? What does that look like at that level? How can we move it forward? What kind of tools can you have in your toolkit if you do have struggles with your friends, or somebody, you like somebody and then someone else starts dating them and then that ruins your relationship? Is there a way to handle that, or have this preparation for it initially, so that you don't ruin your friendship and that, you know, have depression or whatever comes with that? All those things can be things too that with this internship group, maybe we can reach out bigger and then find more things that are affecting them, and then bring people in to talk to us about it. Or if we have interns that are comfortable with that, they could be doing that interview, right? It would be probably more powerful if we're talking about teen relationships, for somebody who's younger to have that conversation with somebody and learn from them and then share that out. So that could be a way that we could value their lived experience.
I could uh, I could put, well, not to dive in too deep because this is just barely touching on what you were talking about, but I see myself kind of talking about how to navigate those waters of abusive relationships and also friendships, and kind of look like having those toolkits. Like that's something that I've really worked on in therapy. Or maybe we could find somebody else who has more experience, or like you said, one of our interns who, yeah, I guess the options are endless, and why just focus on one when there's like 1,000? One person's perspective is completely different than the next, and I think the more tools we have in the toolkit, the better. So maybe that's like another sector that we could have on our YouTube channels, like healthy, like mental health specifically, and relationships, friendships. Well, I guess friendships and family, like they all fall into relationships, but just kind of having these different topics on our educational platform. I know that was a really long tangent.
And it could be something where if you're excited about something, you can work with a team of interns on that too, and help delegate and be a thought partner on those kind of things. And I could see that being something, again, that really fills your cup, that you really are passionate about. It's not going to seem like work to you. And then you can see your vision grow because of these young people who may have more time than you, who do have more time than you, and grow from there. So we're getting to the end of this meeting. So let me just push forward really quick here. Another thing that I thought about with this is, I really want to find unique talents and dreams of these interns and empower them to take ownership in their position in the company to help us all move forward. And then even things like having them really see where they're at, what their career vision looks like currently, what they know about that, and helping support them in that part of it too, which may not be directly affecting the company, but is important for me, especially with their experience, because they'll be better off for it. So I have a student currently, she's not going to be one of the interns, but that wants to be an EMT. And so we connected her with the year, and Shannon, who's going to work with the interns, did connect her with EMTs. And what do you need to do, and who do you need to be talking to at this point, and network in that regard is being part of this team. We want you to be as successful as possible in your own life. So if you are literally using work time to move yourself forward, to make these connections, and it's more of there's accountability with it too, that you can figure out what you want to do, reflect on what you want to do. And it doesn't need to stay that way forever. And you don't need to know what you want to do right now, but if you don't, what are you doing to help yourself figure it out? One thing you're doing is this internship. And so listening to other people, learning about other professions, networking. So all these things can help move you towards being successful outside of high school. And I think that could be a way that we can really support them too, is by giving them kind of the freedom and the expectation to do things like that. Reflect on where you are, what your current vision is. They'll be able to reflect on that in the past or in the future as well. So I want to wrap this up. So tomorrow at 9, can you guys, after I'm planning a meeting with whoever wants to meet at 7 tomorrow, 7 to 9, can you guys stay on a little after and meet these interns and talk to them a little bit about your experience and what Mama Bird means to you?
I can do that. I'll probably just have to go at like 10 because I'm going to try to speak to Amy on Zoom. I tried to call her, but I don't have service in my apartment, so I have to do Zoom.
I'm free. Yeah,
Okay.
of course I'll have Sophia, but that's not a problem. I have a quick question. I did talk to Phil, your dad, and I just have a question about who are we donating these interviews to?
Yes, I think we should,
Tomorrow?
and I want to do them quick. I think we should, I'm going to reach out to the Denver Union, Teachers Union, and see if we can do some sort of thing with them to raffle off one of them, basically. That our goal is to share our product. I think they'd be supportive in that, share our product, to get it out, and we want to get as many people to learn about our product, and then we want to give one away. I think that could be one angle, and with one of the interviews, and then the other interview, because my dad and my aunt Maureen donated. Thank you guys. And the other one I think we should do with the Stapleton Scoop website, that we can really focus on people I think who will pay for this product, and do that same thing with them. So originally I was thinking we do 2 raffles in the same thing, but I think let's divide and conquer and maximize. So I think within this week, I'm hoping to get traction on that. And so that we can move forward with it. There's not an immediate rush from being able to do the interviews, but I do want to push it forward because I want people to start paying you and having it be more a regular thing, and then developing these processes. So leave that to me for now to figure out that part of it, and I will push that forward this week and probably bring back stuff for you guys to do, and even theoretically the interns to do already for it. Okay, so to sum it up, tomorrow, 9 o'clock, we're going to be meeting with the interns. Shannon's going to be organizing that, so I will send you guys information on how to join that. What I would like from you, and we can talk about this again tomorrow morning. I don't know if I think Yusura's school starts on Tuesday, so hopefully she'll be able to join us tomorrow. And I want to have these interns watch this. I'm going to send this video out, the last hour that we've done talking about the internship, to them to kind of see the way your guys' minds work and what we think and how we will value them and how we will empower them. And that we don't have all the answers yet, but it's going to be something that they're going to grow a lot from, and we're going to put them in situations where they push themselves forward and push our company forward. And so I'm going to share that with them, and then We will also be talking to them about what Mama Bird means to us. I want you guys to talk about your experience too, how you see them again, not as like people who are going to go get coffee for us, that this is they're going to be partners in this with us, right? They're going to be valued. There may be some tasks that are more like, I don't know, labor intensive in ways, and that we want them to do, but know that we're doing them for the right reason, that they're going to be respected in this company, and that we're going to value again and respect them. And if they need flexible hours, we're going to work with that. That mental health is a priority, emotional health is a priority with all of us, and we can find ways to support each other in that. And I think then that'll be really exciting, because I think that's going to, everything's just accelerating us. I'm still going to be pushing out and contacting people to try to get Yusura's speech shared more. I think that we've got a little traction, but not to the point where we need to be. Again, the superintendent of DPS, Susana Cordova, just tweeted her video yesterday after me emailing her, which is awesome. But I don't think a lot of people follow her on Twitter necessarily. So we need to have it be coming from all perspectives in different ways. But I think there's still growth to be had in that. And I want to brag about Yusura a little more too, to her face. I wanted to do it behind her back. So Yusura, if you're watching this, great job again, like just her growth. And I was watching last night the first video where I introduced the concept of her doing this speech and just her reaction to that. And she actually wasn't that surprised. Her thing was kind of, okay, I'll do my best. But it wasn't like she was excited about it. And then just even watching that interview with you guys supporting her and how her mind changed, then she recorded another kind of before her speech, which was really good and powerful, that I think people need to be watching that. Then her speech itself, I've listened to it a bunch of times, and it even gets more and more powerful every time. And she even says at the end, I'm stepping into my own power now, and I encourage you to do the same. And that's amazing. Proctor, the speech that you wrote for Yusura is unbelievable too, and her reading of it is really powerful too. And so that's something that needs to be shared more widely. It's a very different speech than she gave, and a more racially focused speech than she gave. One of the lines that you have written in there and that she reads so beautifully is that communities of color are negatively affected by the people who are sworn to protect them. And the way she reads it just like gives me chills. And in this moment in our world with what's going on, like that needs to be heard too. And I think it's neat because I think that with her position in life and who she is and the many different things she's carrying, that she's unable to say a lot of the words that you wrote in there. And so the fact that they're not her words, but they're coming through her and written for her by you, just makes it even more powerful. And you write so beautifully. And it's such a funny thing because she reads this just powerful speech. And then at the end of it, she's like, yeah, I think I'm going to take some of this and put it into my speech. And it's just like, it wasn't like climactic enough. I want to like cut that out because it's like, it's so powerful. And I think that she's just, the way she thinks is so beautiful, and that she's always kind of moving forward and just thinking about the next step, and not reflective enough, and could be in a negative way too, but also in a positive way, that she's just constantly bettering herself and moving forward. But like, you wrote a powerful speech for her, and Janine, I know you wrote a good speech for her too, that she I don't think I've heard her read your speech. Did she read that at any point to you, the one that you wrote out loud, Janine?
No, I had sent it a little later. I believe that was the day that I had the therapy appointment. My therapy appointment, so I didn't meet that morning. But I did send it to her.
Yeah, and I read it, and it mimics her real speech a lot, and you stayed really close to her real speech, which I think was really helpful. And just that process of you guys bringing each other up, like I see when I'm watching this as that being our podcast, and we've got to figure out what that looks like, because I think people could already be consuming this and listening to it. But starting with that first meeting where we talk about I really spring this on her that she should do this speech and share this with the world, and her response to that, and then how she builds and grows off that, and then her speech, and then Proctor, your speech that you wrote for her too, is just like, it just is these layers of different power that I think that the world needs to hear, and I think they will hear later when they come around and kind of start consuming these things, but the interns could hear that process too. And so there'll be a lot of homework for them to kind of catch up and watch these different things, but I want to organize it. There are meetings that we've had that are 2 hours on the internet that aren't great, that we don't need to share with the world. So I want to kind of hide those so that people aren't consuming that when they don't need to with the timing of it. And then again, we have that content. If someone wants to produce this professionally later in a different way, then that can be done with extra content. And I know Yusura's talked about that she's recorded her own reflections. The other thing that I want from you guys before I go is to sometime you and me both recorded at Proctor a response for Mom Bird interviews, but both of ours I don't think are good enough. I want to really reiterate with Mama Bird interviews, and that's why I'm dressed up in my fancy outfit. I'm going to record it after this. Is I want to reiterate that this is our goal again with Mama Bird interviews is to bring young women of color forward, to support them financially, to empower them, all while gaining a product that's going to be invaluable to you, which is an interview of a loved one. And then on top of that interview, the second part of our product, there's really two steps to it. The first is that we interview a loved one of your choice. And then the second one is that you interviewed that loved one and you get that benefit too. So that's one of the things, one of the objections is I can just do this myself. And we say, good, do it yourself. And we're going to hold you accountable to doing it yourself. And you need to do it yourself because that's going to add so much value to you too. So we're going to interview Amy's dad, and then Amy's going to interview Amy's dad. And she's going to have two products that we're going to give her. It's going to be $300, which is a lot of money, but not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things. And 200 of those dollars are going to go to a young woman of color like yourself, who's amazing. It's going to really be empowered. And so then with that, Proctor, what I want you to get into is even more of an explanation, and it can be quick too, though, about what you're going to be doing so that you say you want to own your own business, you want to invest in yourself. What does that look like? And you've already said in previous ones that that looks like you investing in your own media company to help marginalized communities. And so saying that in there, like, I want people to, again, our target market is me. Our target market is socially justice aware, basically, I guess, at this point, white people that want to support people of color. And how can they do that? And so your message about wanting to give back to the community and how you're going to help yourself and your community is really powerful in that regard. And so this could be something where we, again, use for advertising, and we see you saying that, and we see Janine, you saying that when you're successful with this, one day you're going to help the world by opening this community center. And that's what you're going to do with this. And that this opportunity has empowered you already and made you realize that we aren't against each other, that we all are together, bringing each other up. Like, people will want to support that. So we need to state that clearly and quickly. And it can be done in different iterations. So if you can send me stuff and I can give you feedback on it, we can move forward. I don't want to take too much time with it, but mine isn't good enough either, because I really want to make it clear to people how important this is from helping you perspective first, and then also from how valuable this product will be to them. Because I watched some of my father's interview that I did with him last night, and there's going to be no price I'm going to be able to put on that one day. And seeing me interact with my father too is also, there's going to be no price that I'm going to be able to put on that one day. And it's done. And the fact that it's done means I know that's going to be done. I want to do it more in the future with him, and hopefully that will encourage people to do that. But I know it's there. And that's really valuable to me. And so that we can express that to other people. We're going to do this raffle. We'll get more people involved that way. I think it'll come pretty quick that we will get you guys busy with interviews, and then we'll deal with the growing pains of what that looks like and the scheduling. But maybe that's where the interns come in. They could research a scheduling app to make it easier. They can research different payment apps to make it easier. Like, as much as we can make automated, the better, so that we can use our skills for other things. But I think one thing we can automate as much, which we can, but I think not as much, is like the customer service side of it. Do we have any very personable people that can reach out to the customers, make these other connections, be another touch point, talk to, again, our customers. If our customer is me, and you reach out to me after I've paid for the service, and you talk to me about what the experience is going to be like, and then another person calls, and then they tell me a little about themselves, Janine, like the conversation you had with my dad, just how much more that makes me think about this company. Man, this is a wonderful company. Now I don't want to just help Ariana, I want to help this intern too, and this company more. So I'm going to find other people to then use this product and get to use this product, and it'll grow from there organically. And so I think it's exciting. And so then that's what I'm going to kind of work on today. Is I'm going to work on firming up what this 9 o'clock meeting looks like tomorrow from my perspective, and what's needed from me, and have a real clear picture of what the interns are going to do in my mind. And then also I'm going to continue reaching out in social media and trying to push Yusura's video forward. I did do a paid ad campaign for Facebook targeting, I think it's like 12 to 17-year-olds in Denver, African-American 12 to 17-year-olds in Denver. And so that's a neat thing I want to share with you guys sometime is the metrics of that. I think I said I would pay $50 over 5 days. And right now it's, been seen by 1,000 people, but 50 people clicked on it. But even those 50 people, and I think only 2 people watched through the whole the whole video. But that's exciting to me too, that 2 people have never seen this and would never be exposed to this, and got to see Asura speak and listen to her words, and hopefully it impacted them in a positive way. One of the persons shared it from the ad. And so that can be something too that I'm going to work on and pushing us forward in that way. I think the website is good enough to this point to be able to be sharing widely. And I also want to start really coming up with a plan of how to share this and get kind of published, like 303 magazine and 5280 magazine, places like that and connections like that that can share our story that way too. Once we have this internship up and running, I think DPS is going to start highlighting us themselves, and we'll get a lot of connections from that because it's a really unique and cool program with me being an educator and having a business and employing students in that business as interns. I think there's a huge story with that too. And so it all just leads to goodness. Again, win, 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 win in all regards. So I'm going to stop rambling now. I'm going to let you guys go. I'll be in touch with you through Facebook throughout the day, just different things that I'm moving forward with. If you guys have any questions, please reach out. Again, this is a Sunday, so value yourself too. And if there needs to be boundaries, stick up for yourself and say that. Make sure that with your loved ones, and I do this with my wife, that there's it's not taking over my life in a way that's affecting my relationship negatively, which my wife, though, is really, really coming on board and supporting me with this now and really seeing the clarity. I think like you guys, I jump into things fully, but she's more analytical about it and takes her more time to understand the concept, and then she's all on board. And so that's happening too with my wife, which is wonderful. And so I do have time to do work in this, but I also want to be present with my family when I'm not doing it. And so be conscious of that for yourself too. I'm glad Yusura took this day off and was able to prioritize herself with that, because she's been going so hard and so strong and has school coming up as well. Hopefully she'll be able to join us tomorrow, but if not, the work can still go on without any individual, I think, and will. And so I think that's powerful too. Any final words or questions or anything?
Are there any talking points that you'd like us to kind of have ready for when we meet the new team members, new interns?
I think,
Or will you
yes.
kind of navigate that?
I think I'll navigate and maybe send you that, but I think that you're just be ready to talk as positively as possible about this experience, which I don't think will be difficult. So what this has meant to you, how this is going to change your life, how this is going to change other people's lives. Like, just, we need to quickly make them aware that this is something that's special that's going on here, and that they're going to be part of something special. And with that, we want them excited. We want their A game. We want them to pour themselves into this in whatever capacity they can with their current lives. And that we're happy to have them aboard, that we are proud to have them on board. We are becoming so much stronger with this amazing team of interns. And I really, you guys are our students. They're all amazing and in their own ways, and all will grow in their own ways. And so knowing that they're going to be valued, like saying that to them, things like that, things that you would have loved to hear think about you in that situation, and talk to yourself and the wisdom that you've gained in the years since, and even the last couple months. All
Thank
right.
you.
I'm going to leave it at that. You guys have a wonderful day. I will post this online and then share it with the interns that I know about, so they can hopefully watch it and kind of see what we're up to. And then tomorrow we will get to meet them, which is very exciting for me to have them be able to meet you and for me to see them again. And then we can work on the world from there. All right. Have a good day, you guys. Bye.